Hello everyone, and thank you for joining. In this video, we are going to talk about Amazon Bedrock. So we'll start with Amazon Bedrock overview, and we will explore the Bedrock playground. We will also look into two of the Bedrock features. One is guardrail and another one is watermark detection. We will discuss the cost. We'll see how provision throughput is different from on-demand cost. And we will also explore Bedrock API. So we'll use the API as part of the Jupyter notebook, and we will run through some example prompts. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to go through some of the very basic concepts just to revise, as we'll be using these terms throughout the course. So the first one is foundational model. So what is a foundational model? It's an AI model with a very large number of parameters. And these foundational models are trained on a massive amount of public data. Due to the adaptability, these models are great for wide range of use cases. So you can do text generation, content creation, summarization, image classification, and so on. And I have listed down some of the very interesting facts actually. So BERT is one of the first bidirectional foundational model, and I think it came in 2018. And BERT was trained on only 340 million parameters with 16 GB of training dataset. And just within 5 years, OpenAI trained GPT-4 with 170 trillion parameters and 45 GB of training data. According to OpenAI, the computational power required for a foundational modeling has doubled every 3.4 months since 2012. Quite fascinating. Okay, let's look into some of the other terms that are used in GenAI. So one is model inference. So model inference is the process of foundational model generating an output or a response from a given input, also called as prompt. So what is a prompt? Prompt is an input that is provided to a model to guide it to generate an appropriate response or output for that particular input. So if you're using any of the LLM, like for example, let's say you are using GPT-4o and you are typing something in the chat window, that is a prompt to GPT. Now, another term that you will see is inference parameters. So what is inference parameters? So inference parameters value you can actually adjust during the model inference, and as you adjust these values influence the output or the response. And some of the inference parameters that you may have seen before is temperature, top K, and top P. So temperature is nothing but it determines how random the response would be. So the higher the temperature, the more random the response would be. So what is top K? So top K is the number of most likely candidates that the model consider for the next token. And you have to choose a lower value to decrease the size of that pool and limit the option to be more likely outputs. So if you want model to choose one of the most likely output, then you need to reduce the top K. For example, if you have a top K value of let's say 20, so in that case, model can select from 20 most probable tokens that could be next in the sequence, and that may have some of the less likely output tokens as well. So if you want a more likely output to be considered, then you need to reduce the value of top K. And top P is nothing but a top K, but in terms of percentage rather than number. Alright, so let's look into two more basic concepts. One is the embeddings. So what are the embeddings? And this is used in terms of vector databases and when we are doing similarity search. So you'll hear this term embeddings a lot. So what is embedding? It's a process of converting the input data, passing through a foundational model to a vector representation. So here you can see an example where I am passing this generate embedding for this text to a foundational model, and it is generating some floating point numbers on the right hand side. So this, on the right hand side, this array of floating point numbers, this is nothing but the embeddings. And these embeddings are really useful when you need to perform similarity searches in the database. And these embeddings can be created not only from the text data, but you can do it from the image data or video data as well. And that is how you see when you look for, let's say, a product in Amazon.com, it also shows some similar products because it is doing a similarity search on the description, on the product, on the product image. There is also an application for that, and you will see the product that are most likely matching those products as well. So all it is doing is basically a vector search on a vector database. Finally, let's talk about tokens. And tokens are also very, very important because you will hear this term a lot, and most of these models are charged based on the number of tokens that you are consuming in your applications. So tokens are the smallest number of units that an AI model can process. And these can represent characters, words, even the larger chunk of data. General guidelines is 75 words is kind of 100 tokens. So our goal is to actually reduce this input and output tokens so we can actually build GenAI applications with which are cost effective as well. Alright, so now that we know these terms, let's jump into AWS console and look at Amazon Bedrock.